Good afternoon on what is a very bright, warm and sunny day. It is Friday the 16th of June. I've got a nice hot cup of tea and a parcel to unbox. This has come from the world of books, so it's going to contain books. It's a bit of a giveaway really. So let's get this open. And what I've got here is several books, Royal Flash and Flashman, Slow Horses. There's another parcel to come which will have Dead Lions in, the second book in this series. The question is, why am I buying more copies of this and buying them as gifts? The thing is, but for someone else. So what I'm actually going to look at today is, because I've already done an unboxing of this, it's Flashman by George MacDonald Fraser. So, the Flashman Papers, 1839 to 1842. Can a man who is expelled from rugby school as a drunken bully, who wantonly seduces his father's mistress, who lies, cheats and proves a coward on the battlefield, who romps his way through the boudoirs of Victorian Britain to the erotic frontiers of our empire, be all bad? Harry Flashman, lover, soldier, reluctant secret agent, triumphs in this first instalment of the Flashman Papers, emerging from Afghanistan and a disastrous retreat from Kabul, covered in glory, not to mention skullduggery. So, and that's essentially that sums up the book in a nutshell, and the whole series of the novels, of which there are several. There's a full list there. So what this is, okay, is retelling of a history based upon a character, a supposed real character, General Sir Harry Flashman, okay, noted Victorian soldier and adventurer, that George MacDonald Fraser essentially uncovered in a set of like auction papers, a set of sort of like a box of papers got at an auction, okay, and set out to write about. And that's the whole conceit behind the series of books. Now, who is Flashman? Flashman, you may recognise the name from Tom Brown's School Days, which is set at Rugby School, quite a famous Victorian story, and this asks the question, what did the school bully Flashman do next once he was expelled from Rugby School? And this tells the story, but it tells it in a rip-roaring ahistorical fashion, as essentially the central character, a noted horseman and linguist and philanderer, cad, bounder, scoundrel, which he manages to keep secret from society at large throughout all of his adventures across Victorian England, the British Empire and beyond. And the thing is, they're very sort of like, they are sort of essentially sort of like raunchy historical romps that are huge fun to read. And I was introduced to them sort of like because they were on my father's bookshelf, and I started reading them and enjoying them. And it was a case of, initially I didn't know whether this was a real character. I didn't know whether it was a fake character, but because it reads as real, and that's what's so engaging about it, because Fraser grounds it in so much history. You have endnotes, so you can learn a bit about the history of the period as you go along. Basically, explaining in a bit more detail. There's more in the later books. You've got a quick glossary there, and also you have. Let's see, where are we? You've got an explanatory note explaining what the book is about, what it is. and essentially an excerpt from Thomas Hughes's Tom Brown's School Days. And then we have a map of Kabul and the Khyber Pass. So we have over here we have Kabul, capital of Afghanistan, and then the Khyber Pass all the way through to northwestern India. And this is essentially at and beyond the frontiers of the British Empire in the early 1840s. Essentially there is a British mission to Afghanistan in an attempt to bring it into the empire, much like the Great East India Company and then the British Empire had brought India into the empire. Unfortunately, as we know, this will fail, and it will fail multiple times, despite leading to some fairly ferocious losses by the British Empire and the British Army in these encounters, because this really details the failure of that first mission and what happens next in the First Afghan War, or basically Anglo-Afghan War. There will be a second, I think, in about 1879, roughly from memory. But this would ultimately lead to a terrible retreat, back through the Khyber Pass with the mission, with the army, with all their, the wives and families of the army, officers and so on, being sniped and shot at and attacked by the tribesmen, who know the terrain and literally just pick men and women off as they try to make their way back through the Khyber Pass and into India, where they are fallen under siege. At I believe Lucknow, if I remember from reading the book, because I've not read it in many years. I'd love to read it again. So the thing is, these stories put Flashman sort of at the centre of great events in the series. So when we get on to the second book, Royal Flash, this puts him at the centre of the Schleswig-Holstein crisis between Germany and Denmark, and has basically Flashman meeting notable figures in Germany in the period, and it's even more fun. That one's actually been made into a film with Malcolm McDowell as Flashman, and he's actually he's perfectly cast. If you are looking for essentially a really good read, because Flashman, as I say, is a bastard, a scoundrel, and absolutely utterly charismatic. Despite his cowardice and his craven character, you want him to survive and get by, and every time, somehow he manages to get out of the scrapes he's in. And over the years, I think there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 books in the series, which will take Flashman from here in the beginning of the 1840s all the way through to sort of like the beginning, I think, of the 1880s, and 40 years of history and so on, of this blackguard and bounder, swashbuckling and scoundreling isn't a word, across the British Empire. Just so much fun to read. Anyway, that's Flashman. Thoroughly recommend this if you can find a copy. Thank my dad for basically having this on his bookshelf and just letting me plunder his bookshelf to read. So hopefully when my friend Keith will receive a copy of this, he'll enjoy reading it too. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. If you've enjoyed this, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, then where I will unbox a book or game or role-playing game, in this case a novel, and talk about it to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, then please do hit the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching. I will be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.